right, there she is. There she is. Another beautiful day in the Mount Fuji area. So we gotta hand in our permits right here. Of the Fujinomiya trail right here. So before you climb, you actually need to register. So you get a little QR code, and this is where you get your QR code scanned, and you get a little wristband, and as well as let's call it a mandatory donation, Fuji conservation donation, and you get a little wooden stamp or wooden little thing with you. One of these right here. We also have Sir Rutherford Alcock, Britain's first ambassador to Japan and the first foreigner to climb Fuji in the 1800s. There are 4 trails, so we're on the south side, the Fujinomiya trail right here. So you may have heard of the 5th station. The 5th station is actually where you can drive up to. All of the 4 different trails on Mount Fuji have a 5th station, all at different elevations. The Yoshida trail right here is by far the busiest trail, and we've got the 5th station here, the Fujinomiya trail. It's the highest, shortest of all trails, 2,400 meters, and the Gotemba trail right here has the lowest 5th station of 1,400 meters. There's a 1,000 meter difference. So today we're doing a 1-day trip. If we have time, we'll do a lap around the crater, and then what we'll do is, this is where the crater from the last eruption happened. It's you know, it's a detour. To do it in 1 day, you know, depends on weather, fitness level, all that kind of stuff. But if we have time, we'll descend this trail and then cross over. Sweet. Starts at 2,400 meters. Goal is to go all the way up there. All the bathrooms you need to use, they cost a couple coins. The bathroom's right here, and it's like a little tip donation box we throw some coins into. Today's trail should take maybe 5 hours on average or so, one way to the summit. It has got to be one of the hottest days I've ever experienced here. I've been up here hundreds of times in the last 8 years, and it will get colder the higher up we go, but it is warm today. Yeah, we lucked out. Beautiful views. We can see the outlines of, a little bit hazy, but the outlines of the Izu Peninsula, and we've got the Oceanus Pacifica right past the clouds there. So we have now managed to get to the first hut here. Every 40 to 60 minutes or so we'll get to a little mountain hut. So supplies, you can get water. I have all my water today, but you can buy, you know, food, snacks, water, and each one of these places is a good place to take a rest. It is Mount Fuji prices though. These wooden staffs that you see here, it's a classic Mount Fuji souvenir. It's been around for a long time. You can get them branded. They like burn the brands in at each of the huts along the way, with the final one being at the summit. And also there's lots of people that just hike up to this point. Over in the clouds you see a little in the horizon, a little rim there. That's the crater from the last eruption in 1707, the Hoei crater, from about 300 years ago. But we are gonna push on up towards the summit. Getting a little cloudy, but yeah, nice day. So the trail is varying steepness. It is rocky, lots of loose steps, loose rocks like this. It gets slippery. Some areas with big steps and precarious foot placement. So yeah, you can see the trail there. It is steep, but we don't have too much further to go. But it's all uphill. It's all uphill, basically. There's very little flat sections on Mount Fuji. On the Fujinomiya and also on the Yoshida trail, we've got sort of the Mt Fuji Health Center. So there are doctors along the way. If you, you know, if you get sick or get a laceration, you can go to one of these places and there are doctors that will help you out. So this is what the inside kind of looks like. Oxygen tanks. What is the most common injury that you see on Mt Fuji?
高山病が一番多いですかね、やっぱり、富士山だと特に高山病の患者さんがまあ9割方って感じですかね。
ありがとうございます。So Mount Fuji, the summit's at 3,776 meters, and although we're not going to an altitude where you get serious, life-threatening, you know, altitude-related complications, it is at an altitude where an awkward elevation where you do feel, you know, everyone will feel something, whether it's, you know, tingling sensation in the extremities, lightheadedness, nausea, loss of appetite, things like that. But we're not at an altitude where you need supplementary oxygen or anything like that. To do is going to be to go at a nice, consistent pace that you can keep hydrating, keep eating, you know, all that kind of good stuff. Don't over exert yourself. Nice and easy. Clouds coming in a little bit. Getting quite a bit colder now. All right, so with the 9th station and 3,460 meters. 9th means that we're almost at the summit here. And this hut right here is actually one of the huts that we stay at for our 2-day trips. The main difference between our 2-day trips and 1-day trip, other than that we break up the climb into 2 days, obviously, is that on our 2-day trips, we actually aim to leave the hut in the middle of the night, in the dark, put our headlamps on, all that kind of stuff, to reach the summit just in time for sunrise time. So in order to view the summit sunrise, you do need to spend a night at one of the mountain huts. It is frowned upon to hike throughout the night and kind of do it in one go. So it is, although it is possible to climb Mount Fuji in 1 day, if you would like to view the summit sunrise, you do have to stay in one of the mountain huts. So although it is early August, we do have traces of snow here. It is quite a bit colder up here. And on Fuji, you know, on the greatest of days, if it's bluebird and not windy, you can get away with a t-shirt, you know, jeans and sneakers to get all the way to the top, and you know, on the most perfect of days. But on most of the days, you're gonna get a bit of everything. As soon as the cloud rolls in, it's quite a bit colder. I'm moving, so I'm not putting on a layer yet. But even when it's, you know, super bluebird, at the summit, you can expect it to be sort of around 10 degrees Celsius, not Kelvin. Celsius, and especially if you're on a 2-day trip, if you're doing an overnighter, once the sun goes down, it gets extremely cold. So you're gonna want long johns, you know, winter jacket, and the whole shebang. Raining and quite a bit colder, so I've put on my rain gear, top and bottom, and also put on my rain pack cover. We are only about 10 minutes or so from the summit. And then a little fun fact here, because it's you can see it very clearly, we've got red and yellow rocks here on Mount Fuji. The red rocks because they're rich in iron, and the yellow ones because they're rich in sulfur. Fun fact. Behind me is a torii gate, and right there as well we have another torii gate. A torii gate is, you may see them sort of all over Japan. They're a Shinto, well, Shinto thing. Shintoism is the indigenous religion to Japan, but it marks the entrance, the gateway to sacred grounds. Sort of marks the division between the mundane and divine, so to speak. Yeah, Mount Fuji was originally climbed as a pilgrimage. In fact, since the 7th century, it is one of the coolest experiences you can have in Japan, for sure. At the summit here, we've got a post office. Okumiya Shrine here. We've got the Imperial Seal. Like every shrine in Japan, you can pray. Sorry, I shouldn't film people praying. You can get a lucky charm. You can get your stamps. See that Fuji staff he's holding? You can get the final Fuji stamp there. And like any shrine, you can get amulets and lucky charms and things like that as well. Fun fact about the shrine is that although Mount Fuji is part of the Fuji Hakone Izu National Park, the top third or so of the mountain is actually owned by the shrines. It's no longer national park and it is shrine grounds. And team, check it out, check it out. The crater. The last eruption from here was actually about 500 years ago or so. And the last eruption was in 1707, so just over 300 years ago, but not from the top here. A side crater lower down on the mountain. And then fun fact number 3 or 4, I don't remember how many fun facts we're on right now, but you see they have these excavators. This is how they maintain the trails, but there's actually a network of bulldozer trails that lead all the way up to the summit. They actually stock all the huts using these bulldozers that drive up. It's a bit of a shame we lost the view of the cities and the coastline and all that kind of stuff, but completely at the mercy of Mother Nature. At least it's not raining anymore, and we got a beautiful view into the crater. All right, a few more steps and up to the summit. Highest point in Japan, and marks the halfway point, in fact, of your climb here on Fuji. Halfway because you need to make your way down. Clouds rolling in to the crater here, with the main summit post over there where people are taking photos, and we have it right here. 3,775.63 meters. We got the main summit post over there. And this is a defunct weather station. With the main summit post, that's just right here. Mount Fuji boasts some of the best, most incredible views to be had in Japan. Not only, we were on the Pacific Ocean side, so we can see the Pacific Ocean, Hakone, and smoking volcanoes and all that kind of stuff. On this side where the clouds are, we're able to see the Southern Alps National Park. On a very clear day, the Northern Alps National Park, even Yatsugatake, Kofu, Kofu, Fuefki, the cities of Fuefki and Kofu, all that kind of stuff. It adds 60 minutes to the trip, but you can do a lap around the crater. It is heavily weather and fitness, energy level dependent. Today, yeah, why not? Let's go for a lap around the crater. The crater, the rim job as I like to call it, you need good visibility. You want to make sure there's no snow on the trail and that kind of stuff, because you can see the trail is right here, but it's a cliff and sheer drop into the crater rim, and it's all kind of loose rocks, as you can see here. Totally fogged in on both the crater and mountainside of Fuji. Well, it is the tallest mountain in Japan. It is the most exposed. There's not a lot of mountains that are directly sort of around here, adjacent to Mount Fuji. Well, tall ones anyways. So any weather that comes in always hits Mount Fuji. Always expect any and every weather condition. Actually, today is very, very mild. It's not very windy. Most days it can get very windy. It only drizzled a little bit. Who knows? It might still come. The Yoshida Trail, which is by far the most crowded trail, and the Red Trail, the Subashi Trail, they merge at the 8th station, and they end up at the summit right here. So this is where their trail ends. This is the crater rim for them. We've got their torii gate leading up to the summit, and this area right here is going to be the most popular place to view the sunrise from. So this is the main shrine for them right here. And then we've got the famous Mount Fuji vending machines. Check it out. Mount Fuji prices. A bottle of water is 500. Well, it's nice. It's nice to have modern day luxuries on a mountaintop here. We are still on the crater rim here. We're making our way, doing our lap around the crater rim. And yeah, we're on our way to the Gotemba Trail. Although we climbed up the Fujinomiya Trail, we'll be descending the Gotemba Trail, and we can actually cut through the Hoei crater with the last eruption of Mount Fuji. We can cut through there to get back to the Fujinomiya Trail. Just with the clouds rolling in, we'll be lucky to see anything, but it'll be cool to just check it out. Hopefully we will get a view. All right, I'm on my descent here. Remember that the descent tends to be harder than the ascent. You know, it's loose rocks, big steps, precarious foot placement, all that kind of stuff. You're already tired from having climbed up, you know, and 99% of the injuries happen on the descent. So we got to be extra careful. Don't push yourself. Japan doesn't really have, well, Fuji doesn't have great mountain rescue or anything like that. You absolutely do not want to get hurt on Mount Fuji. So be careful on the descent. I always joke, well, not really joke these days because I'm 32 now, but you know, I always say I'd rather climb twice than to descend once. It's tough on the muscles and joints on the descent here. And, you know, slippery, all that kind of good jazz. Yeah. Station of the Gotemba Trail. This is Tomo here.
Yeah, Tomo. I'm Tomo.
A good friend of mine. Matt. Matete, Matiznach, and we got Tomo right here. Okay, I have a few questions for you, Tomo. I have a few questions for you.
I have questions?
Questions for you. さ、日本一じゃなくて、富士山一じゃなくて、宇宙一うまいカレーってどこで食べれるんですか？
それさ、聞いたことあるんだよね。
あ。Oh, that's right. This hut is known for the best curry on the mountain, in the world, in the universe. Universe. So universe. Tomo is a kendama master. あれ食う栗まんじゅう食べる。栗まんじゅう食べる。そう宇宙一うまい。マジで。そうちゃんとローソンで買ってきた。
前登壇していいかい。
Okay. What is your advice for someone climbing Mount Fuji?
どういう意味？
アドバイス。富士山登りたいっていう。
アドバイスか。一つだけあるよ。足を前に出していくといつかつく。それだけ。
His advice should be マットを雇えっていうアドバイスじゃない。You should expect any and every type of weather on Mount Fuji. As you can see on Mount Fuji, having the right equipment will directly affect the enjoyment, your comfort and performance on your climb. Down, you just keep going right. One thing you need to be careful is bam! Okay, we have a junction here back to the Fujinomiya route, especially on, you know, bad visibility days. It's really easy to go the wrong way, especially on your descent. On the ascent, it's easy, it's just up. But on the descent, they're like, you know, it's a conical mountain, and you go a few degrees off to the wrong direction and you'll be a very, very expensive cab ride away from where you started. All right, she's a little shy. We can't see the crater today, so I'll have to post a photo up. Fun fact here, they say the ash reached Edo, which is Tokyo, just what they called Tokyo back then. Yeah, I find it interesting. Last uphill, you know, I would say that if you're doing a one-day trip, the crater lap at the top plus coming to the Hoei crater where we are right now, it's long, you know. Without doing those things, the average is kind of a 10-hour day. If you add these two things in, you might be potentially looking at a 13-14-hour day. If you're doing sort of a 2-day thing, it's a lot more feasible. If you're doing a 1-day thing, it could be a stretch. Just like that, we are back at 2,400 meters.
Can I take a picture?
How's it going? You can.
Can I take a picture in front of that?
I do want to take a photo of me.
No, it's not.
We truly believe that it is one of the best things that you can do in Japan. If you'd like to know more about, you know, what a 2-day trip is like, what the best time, when the best time of year to come here is, how to prepare, or, you know, if you want to do an off-season climb, any questions you have regarding Mount Fuji, just leave them in the comments below, and we'll try and answer any questions. Toodaloo, ta-da! I almost forgot to mention, the best part of the day is actually when you come back down the mountain and you get out of your boots